There's a quiet truth that the most successful people understand. The first hour of your day holds the key to everything that follows. It's not just a window of time, it's the foundation upon which your focus, energy, and decisions are built. While most of the world wakes up scrambling to hit the snooze button, pouring coffee in a rush, and checking emails before their feet even hit the ground, a few choose a different path. They rise with purpose before the world stirs and use that golden hour to take control of their lives. This isn't just about waking up early. It's about owning the one moment of the day that belongs entirely to you before the demands of the outside world begin to compete for your attention. Imagine the power of a calm mind greeting a chaotic world. When you wake up late or with no structure, your entire day becomes reactive. You're chasing the clock, feeling behind, and constantly trying to catch up. Stress builds, focus fades, and the day slips away before you ever had a chance to lead it. But when you take command of your morning, even just the first 60 minutes, everything shifts. That first hour becomes your anchor. It sets the tone for your mindset, your mood, your clarity, and your productivity. Instead of reacting to life, you're now responding to it with intention and strength. Waking up early doesn't require perfection, it requires purpose. Those early minutes are quiet and undisturbed. It's a rare time where you can think without interruption, move without pressure, and breathe without distraction. There's no traffic yet, no emails, no breaking news, just you and the open canvas of the day ahead. In that space, you can reflect, meditate, journal, stretch, read, plan, or simply sit in silence and reconnect with yourself. These seemingly small actions have a profound impact. They tell your subconscious mind that you are in charge, that you are not starting your day out of obligation, but out of design. You don't need to follow an elaborate routine. What matters is consistency and clarity. One person may use that hour to exercise and journal. Another may reflect and read. Some will prepare their day with intention, setting goals and visualizing what success looks like. What unites them is the mindset. I will not hand my day over to chance. Because when you start strong, you build momentum. And momentum is one of the most powerful forces in human behavior. With it, you're unstoppable. Without it, you're adrift. This is why the most grounded individuals, leaders, thinkers, creators, protect their mornings fiercely. They understand that how you start determines how you continue. That first hour becomes their shield against the chaos of life. It creates mental space for clarity and emotional room for peace. They don't scroll through social media or dive into messages immediately. They begin by tuning inward, aligning their mind and energy with what they value most. And it shows in how they lead, how they communicate, and how they stay composed when others fall apart. If you want to reclaim control of your life, don't wait for the perfect time. Start with the first hour. Wake up 30 minutes earlier than usual and dedicate that time to yourself. No screens, no noise, just quiet focus. Ask yourself, what do I want this day to feel like? What matters most today? How can I move one step closer to who I want to be? These questions create clarity. That clarity creates direction, and direction creates results. In a world that pulls your attention in every direction, the first hour is your opportunity to pull it back, to plant your feet, collect your thoughts, and decide how you will show up. Don't leave it to chance. Don't let the world decide your priorities before you've even had a chance to breathe. Because if you don't own your morning, someone else will own your day. The alarm is not your enemy, it's your invitation. Rise with it. Meet the stillness, lead your life, starting at sunrise. In a world constantly buzzing with noise, the early morning is one of the last sacred spaces of stillness. Before the phones ring, before traffic clogs the roads, and before the demands of the day take hold, the morning offers something rare and powerful: silence. And within that silence lives your inner voice. It's the voice of your deepest self, the part of you that knows what really matters. Yet for most people, it's a voice they rarely hear. It gets drowned out by distraction, buried under busyness, and ignored amid obligation. But those who rise early, before the world awakens, know this truth. Purpose isn't found in the noise. It's discovered in the quiet. Waking up early isn't just about productivity or getting a head start. It's about giving yourself space to remember who you are and why you're here. In the stillness of those early hours, something magical happens. Your mind becomes clear, your emotions settle, and what truly matters rises to the surface. When you allow yourself the luxury of this space, free of distractions, noise, and urgency, you begin to see your life with more clarity. You see the big picture, not just the next task. You hear the soft nudges of your conscience, reminding you of the dreams you once had and the goals you've put on pause. Some of the greatest minds in history used their mornings for this exact reason. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, began his days with meditation and writing. Through these quiet practices, he reflected on virtue, discipline, and the nature of life. He wasn't just preparing for the battles of the day. He was anchoring himself in timeless principles that guided his actions. Likewise, Benjamin Franklin, one of America's founding fathers, asked himself each morning, "What good shall I do today?" That simple question helped him set his intention daily. At night, he'd ask, "What good have I done today?" This reflective habit shaped not only his personal growth, but also his contributions to a nation. You don't have to be a philosopher or a politician to benefit from the same practice. When you rise early and step into silence, you create a space for reflection. Ask yourself, what do I value most? What kind of person do I want to be? What difference do I want to make? These questions aren't meant to stress you. They're meant to wake you up on a soul level. Because when you start your day connected to your purpose, everything else flows with more meaning. Early rising is a form of self-leadership. It's a declaration that you're not just drifting through life, you're steering it. It allows you to pause and align your thoughts, actions, and goals with who you truly want to become. It gives you time to write down your values, to visualize your future, to reconnect with the direction you want to move in. And this clarity doesn't just stay in the morning. It follows you throughout the day. You make better decisions. You speak with more conviction. You show up in the world with a deeper sense of intent. In a culture obsessed with speed and external validation, the early hours become a counterbalance. They remind you that your worth isn't found in how much you do, but in how aligned you are with what matters. You may only spend 20 minutes reflecting, journaling, or simply sitting with your thoughts, but the effect compounds over time. Day by day, you build a stronger connection with your purpose. You begin to live on purpose rather than by accident. And perhaps the most powerful part is this. When you rise early, you're not just managing time, you're reclaiming your life. You're choosing presence over distraction. You're choosing reflection over reaction. You're giving yourself the gift of clarity, the kind of clarity that can't be found in the middle of a busy afternoon or a noisy evening. It's a clarity born in the stillness of dawn. And from that place, you begin to live more intentionally, more truthfully, more fully. So the next time the alarm rings, think of it as more than just a signal to get up. Think of it as your invitation to return to yourself, to rise into silence, to ask the deeper questions, and to begin the day not just awake, but aligned. Because in those first quiet moments, your purpose isn't lost. It's just waiting for you to listen. Discipline isn't something you're born with. It's something you build day by day, choice by choice. And one of the most powerful ways to develop relentless self-discipline is by waking up early. When you rise before the rest of the world, you make a declaration. You are choosing discomfort over ease, purpose over passivity. That decision, repeated daily, doesn't just shape your schedule. It transforms your character. The moment your alarm sounds in the early morning, you're standing at a crossroads. One path leads back to the comfort of your bed. The other leads into the quiet, often uncomfortable, but always rewarding realm of growth. When you choose to rise anyway, when you say no to the warm blankets and yes to your mission, you reinforce the muscle of discipline. You're telling yourself, I follow through. I do what I say I'll do, even when it's hard. That habit, getting up with intention, carries into every other part of your life. If you can win that first battle of the day, you're far more likely to follow through on your commitments, resist distractions, and stay focused on your long-term goals. Discipline built in the dark hours of the morning becomes the foundation for success in the daylight. This is why early rising isn't just about gaining time, it's about gaining control. It puts you in the driver's seat of your own behavior. Rather than reacting to the day, you are creating it. Rather than waiting for motivation to appear, you're acting with intention. And every time you take that step, even when it's inconvenient or uncomfortable, you're training your willpower like a muscle. Think about the great achievers throughout history, not just the famous names, but the quiet warriors who consistently showed up for their lives. Their success wasn't built in a single moment of inspiration. It was built in routines, in repetition, in their ability to show up when nobody was watching. Waking up early is the simplest way to start living that truth. It doesn't take talent. It doesn't require perfect conditions. It just takes a decision and the discipline to repeat it. In time, that discipline begins to seep into everything else. You eat better because you're more intentional. You speak with purpose because you've had time to reflect. You manage your time more effectively because you've already proven to yourself that you can stick to your word. Discipline stops being something you have to force. It becomes who you are. That's the power of early rising. It's a daily test and a daily win. And as the wins accumulate, your confidence grows. Your mindset shifts from, I hope I can, to, I know I will. The excuses fade. The habits solidify. You become the kind of person others rely on. The kind of person who leads, who builds, who endures. None of this is easy. And that's exactly why it works. Discipline only grows in resistance. Like a muscle pushed beyond comfort, it strengthens when tested. Every early morning is that test. Will you hit snooze, or will you rise and take command of your day? The answer to that question is your training. Every morning is a mirror. It shows you where your priorities lie, where your strength lives, and what kind of life you are building, one decision at a time. So tomorrow, when the alarm sounds and comfort calls, remember this: discipline doesn't wait for convenience. It shows up anyway. And when you rise with it, tired or not, ready or not, you become someone stronger, sharper, and more capable than the day before. That's how success is built. Not all at once, but relentlessly, quietly, one morning at a time. There is a reason the world's top performers, from inventors to entrepreneurs to artists, swear by the power of early mornings. It's not just a habit or a preference. It's a strategic choice. In those first quiet hours of the day, something remarkable happens. The noise of the world hasn't arrived yet. The emails haven't started pouring in. The phone isn't ringing. The demands of family, coworkers, and social obligations are still asleep. And in that silence, your mind is at its sharpest. It's alert, uncluttered, and open. This is where real progress is made. When you rise early, you give yourself a head start, not just in time, but in focus. Your willpower is fresh, your energy is high, your creativity is alive. And because you're not yet pulled in 100 directions, you can use this time to make meaningful progress on the work that actually matters. Not just urgent tasks, but important ones. Not just busy work, but the kind of work that moves your life forward. Whether it's writing, planning, building, thinking, or learning. These early hours are a gift, and those who seize them consistently are the ones who get ahead. Productivity is not about cramming more into your day. It's about being intentional with your energy and directing it where it counts most. And the morning gives you the greatest return on investment. Think of it like this. If your mental clarity is a currency, early morning hours offer the highest value. You can solve problems faster. You can think more strategically. You can enter flow state with greater ease. 1 hour of focused work in the morning can be worth 3 hours of distracted work later in the day. History supports this truth. Blaise Pascal, the brilliant mathematician and philosopher, used the early morning stillness for deep reflection. His ideas didn't come from a chaotic environment. They came from calm, undisturbed thought. Anne Bradstreet, the first published poet in the American colonies, composed her verses in the pre-dawn light while her household still slept. Her creativity was nurtured in quiet solitude, not frantic energy. Their achievements remind us that productivity is not about hustle, it's about quality focus. And the morning is when that focus is strongest. Rising early is like stepping into a private sanctuary. There are no interruptions, no emails, no meetings. Just you, your priorities, and the clarity to execute them. You become the architect of your day, designing it from a place of calm command rather than chaos. You can outline your goals, review your plans, and begin your most important project, all before the world has had its first cup of coffee. This momentum carries you. It sets the tone. Because once you've accomplished something meaningful before sunrise, the rest of the day feels like a bonus. But make no mistake, this isn't about being busy. It's about being deliberate. Productivity in the morning is about deep work, not shallow tasks. It's about doing the things that require your full attention, not the things you can multitask through. It's about asking yourself, what's the one thing I can do this morning that will make everything else easier or unnecessary? And then doing it. When you wake up early to create, to plan, to focus, you're building a rhythm of success. These small daily wins compound. One morning becomes a week of progress. One week becomes a month of growth. One month becomes a transformed life. And all of it started with a decision to rise. The beauty of early productivity is that it doesn't require perfection. You don't have to write a novel before 7 a.m. or solve global problems before breakfast. You just have to show up, consistently, intentionally, fully present. Over time, that presence becomes a habit. That habit becomes a lifestyle. And that lifestyle becomes the foundation of extraordinary outcomes. So, if you've ever felt like you're falling behind or struggling to get traction in your goals, the solution might not be more hours. It might be earlier ones. Rise before the noise. Begin before the distractions. Create before the world can interrupt. Because when you own your mornings, you multiply your results. And the life you want is built, one focused sunrise at a time. There's a hidden strength that comes from doing the hard thing, especially when no one is watching. And perhaps nothing is harder, yet more powerful, than choosing to rise early each day. Not out of obligation, but out of commitment, out of discipline, out of the refusal to let life happen to you without your consent. When you get up before the world stirs, you're not just adjusting your schedule, you're forging resilience. Waking up early is a deliberate act of resistance. Resistance against the comfort of the bed. Resistance against the excuse of 5 more minutes. Resistance against the temptation to begin your day passively, at the mercy of whatever demands show up first. Each time you rise before the sun, you're telling your mind, your body, and your emotions, I am in charge. This consistent practice of early rising trains more than your habits. It trains your spirit. It teaches you that discomfort is not the enemy. That pain is not something to fear. It reminds you every single day that strength isn't built during comfort, but during conscious effort. Over time, this daily decision becomes more than a routine. It becomes your anchor. Resilience is not something you're born with. It's something you build. And like any structure, it's laid brick by brick. Every time you get up early when you don't feel like it, you add another brick. Every time you ignore the pull of comfort and choose purpose instead, you add another. Until one day, you look around and realize you've built something unshakable, a mindset that can't be rattled by circumstance, a backbone that holds firm when others collapse under pressure. This is how mental toughness is formed. Not in front of a crowd, not during grand speeches or dramatic battles, but in the quiet, early hours, when the world is asleep and it's just you versus you. The decision to rise is the first victory of the day. It sets a tone that echoes into every challenge, every confrontation, and every setback you'll face. And make no mistake, adversity will come. Challenges, uncertainty, frustration, they're all inevitable. But when you've been training in the crucible of the morning, you don't flinch. You don't panic. You step forward with composure because you've already faced resistance that day and won. That first act of discipline becomes your armor, your steady breath in chaos, your silent confidence in the storm. Booker T. Washington once walked miles before dawn just to attend school. That was his morning battle, and he won it day after day. Abigail Adams wrote, studied, and reflected before her household stirred, fortifying herself to become a pillar of strength during wartime. Their morning choices shaped their legacy, and yours can too. Each sunrise offers you the chance to become someone stronger than yesterday, not by doing something extraordinary, but by doing the ordinary things with extraordinary commitment, by choosing to rise with resolve, by saying, I will not be ruled by excuses today. You don't need to climb mountains or run marathons to build resilience. You just need to get out of bed with intention and do it again and again until that version of yourself, the one who acts despite resistance, becomes who you are. Someone who meets difficulty, not with dread, but with determination. So the next time your alarm sounds and the bed feels warm and the sky is still dark, remember this. That moment is your training ground. That decision is your test. And every time you choose to rise, you're doing far more than starting your day. You're becoming someone who cannot be shaken, someone who leads themselves, someone who endures. Resilience isn't about bouncing back. It's about moving forward, even when the weight is heavy. And mental toughness isn't about being emotionless. It's about being unbreakable in purpose. The quiet choice to wake up early holds within it the strength to face anything the day brings. Because when you've conquered yourself before sunrise, you can handle the world after it. Every new sunrise offers something extraordinary, a fresh start, a quiet chance to reset your mindset before the chaos of the world has a chance to cloud it. In the early morning stillness, before notifications buzz and obligations demand your attention, you're given a sacred window of choice. You get to decide the energy you bring into the day. And that decision, simple yet powerful, can define not just your morning, but your entire outlook on life. Waking up early isn't just about productivity, it's about starting your day from a place of gratitude, peace, and clarity. The early hours are emotionally fertile. When the world is silent, your mind is most open to stillness, to reflection, to peace. This is when you can hear your own thoughts without distraction. This is when you can journal without interruption. This is when your heart can speak louder than your to-do list. In that space, you have the power to plant the seeds of optimism, calm, and self-belief. What you choose to focus on in these moments often determines how you will respond to everything else that follows. People like Florence Nightingale knew this truth. In the midst of war-torn hospitals and unimaginable suffering, she found strength in morning rituals of quiet prayer and reflection. Despite the horror around her, she chose to begin each day with calm and intention. Her resilience, her compassion, and her clarity didn't just come from talent. It came from inner alignment practiced each morning. And that example lives on. You too can bring order to inner chaos by owning the first hour of your day. When you rise early and intentionally, you're not only shaping how you feel, you're shaping how others experience you. A person grounded in gratitude and peace radiates calm. They make better decisions, respond with more kindness, and uplift those around them. Your energy becomes contagious. A calm presence in a frantic world is magnetic. And that calm doesn't happen by accident. It's built morning by morning. Even just 10 minutes of intentional morning practice can change your trajectory. You don't need to be a monk or motivational speaker. You just need to be present. Breathe slowly. Write down one intention. Stretch. Read something uplifting. Whisper an affirmation that reminds you who you are. These acts may seem small, but they are powerful. They anchor your mindset before the winds of the world try to shake it loose. Positivity born in the morning is more than good vibes. It's resilience in disguise. When you start with peace, you're better equipped to handle setbacks with grace. When you begin with gratitude, frustration doesn't take root as easily. When you begin with vision, distractions lose their power. The mindset you build at dawn becomes your armor for the day. And here's the truth: the world will try to throw you off center. Traffic, bills, bad news, criticism, unexpected challenges, they're all coming. But when you've already chosen calm, when you've already cultivated clarity, you meet those moments with a strength that surprises even you, because you've already taken command of your inner world. So tomorrow, rise early, don't rush. There's something sacred about the quiet hours of the morning. Before the world stirs, before notifications flood your phone, before the noise of life competes for your attention. In these early hours, your mind is a sponge, unburdened by distraction and open to learning in its purest form. This is when your intellectual capacity is at its peak. Waking early isn't just about discipline or productivity. It's an invitation to become a lifelong learner, to build your mind like a master craftsman, sharpening his tools at the start of the day. In today's world, information is everywhere, but wisdom is rare. Most people rush through their mornings, caught in a blur of routines, emails, and urgency. But those who rise early with purpose use that time not to consume chaos, but to absorb clarity. Whether it's reading a book that stretches your thinking, writing down your reflections, or journaling new ideas, those first moments after waking are a golden window for personal growth. Your brain, freshly rested from sleep, is more alert and more receptive to new information. Studies in neuroscience show that cognitive function, especially memory, focus, and comprehension, is sharper in the early hours. This is when your thoughts are clear, your attention is undivided, and your creative potential is at its highest. You don't need hours. Even 20 to 30 minutes of intentional reading or deep reflection can ignite insights that shift your perspective and sharpen your decision-making for the rest of the day. History proves this truth. Galileo began his days in study and solitude, questioning what others blindly accepted. His commitment to learning in the quiet hours led to discoveries that changed how humanity understands the universe. Sor Juana Inés de la Cruz, one of the most brilliant minds of her time, rose before dawn to read and write, pushing against societal expectations to pursue knowledge in a world that tried to silence her. Their genius wasn't an accident. It was cultivated during moments most people still spend asleep. When you dedicate your mornings to learning, you aren't just collecting facts. You're sculpting a stronger version of yourself. You're creating space to deepen your understanding of the world, expand your mental models, and develop the clarity that comes from thoughtful reflection. Over time, this daily intellectual investment pays compound interest. It makes you a more effective communicator, a more strategic thinker, and a wiser decision maker. The power of morning learning lies in consistency. One passage read, one insight written, one question explored each morning. It may seem small. Every morning you choose to rise early, before the noise of the world begins, you're doing something far more profound than just waking up. You're sending a message to the deepest part of yourself. I believe in me. This quiet act, repeated day after day, becomes the strongest declaration of self-belief you can make. It's not about making loud claims or waiting for applause. It's about proving to yourself that your dreams matter and you're willing to take daily steps to honor them. Most people live as dreamers. They talk about what they want, what they hope to do someday, but few ever make the shift from intention to action. Why? Because belief isn't something you're born with. It's something you build. And nothing builds belief like consistency. When you rise early with purpose, not because you have to, but because you choose to, You're making a silent commitment to becoming the person you know you can be. Self-belief doesn't arrive in a flash of inspiration. It grows slowly with each disciplined decision. Each time you choose discomfort over comfort, purpose over passivity, action over excuses, you are reinforcing the belief that you are capable of more. And the more you prove that to yourself through consistent action, the less you need external validation. Your confidence no longer depends on what others think. It becomes something you carry within. Think of self-belief as a muscle. It doesn't grow through wishing, it grows through use. And early rising is the perfect training ground. You're not just waking up earlier than most people, you're choosing to face your day with clarity, direction, and commitment. You're stepping into your potential before the world even begins to move. History gives us countless examples of individuals who transform belief into reality through the power of consistent morning action. Michael Faraday, one of the greatest scientists of the 19th century, began each day not with grand speeches or ambitions, but with quiet, focused work in his lab. He didn't wait for confidence. He built it by showing up again and again. Or Fanny Mendelssohn, the gifted composer, who rose early to practice her music long before others stirred. Her belief in herself didn't come from praise. It came from her daily commitment to her craft. The truth is, the most powerful kind of belief isn't loud. It's quiet. It lives in the person who chooses to show up before the excuses can set in. It lives in the one who doesn't just dream big, but who builds slowly, day by day, brick by brick, even when no one is watching. Each morning, you have the opportunity to reinforce that belief, not through big achievements, but through the small, consistent act of rising with purpose. When you keep that promise to yourself, to get up, to grow, to move forward, you begin to trust yourself. You start to see yourself differently. You stop questioning whether you're worthy of the life you want, because your actions start to prove that you are. This shift is everything. You no longer see yourself as someone waiting for the right moment. You become someone who creates moments. You stop being a passive observer of your life and start becoming its active architect. That identity change, from dreamer to doer, is what makes the difference between people who wish and people who achieve. Let's be clear. Belief isn't about being fearless. It's about moving forward despite fear. It's about showing up for yourself when it would be easier to hit snooze. It's about acting with courage in the quiet hours, when no one's clapping, when no one sees, when it's just you and your reflection and your goals. So tomorrow morning, when your alarm sounds and the world is still dark and quiet, remember this. This is your chance to grow stronger, to believe deeper, to step further into who you're becoming. Don't wait to feel motivated. Don't wait until everything is perfect. Rise, and in rising, prove to yourself once again that you are capable, worthy, and ready. This isn't just about mornings, it's about mindset. It's about shaping your life with intention and consistency. And when you do that, self-belief stops being something you chase and starts becoming who you are. In life, the only constant is change. Plans get interrupted, outcomes shift, and unexpected challenges show up when you least expect them. But those who rise early, who take time each morning to reflect, reassess, and adjust, develop an advantage that most overlook: the ability to adapt with grace, not panic. Adaptability isn't something you turn on when things go wrong. It's a habit, a mindset built through consistent training. And the early hours, before the phone starts ringing and demands pull at your attention, are the perfect time to develop this strength. In those first quiet moments of the day, you gain space. Space to breathe, space to think, space to pivot, not from a place of fear, but from clarity and calm. When you wake up early, you step into the day on your own terms. You're not reacting to chaos. You're creating your response before the noise even begins. That gives you power. That gives you flexibility. You begin to view change not as a threat, but as a natural part of progress. Instead of rushing into your day with a fixed plan that must go perfectly, you start with awareness. You check in with yourself. What's your energy like? What unexpected challenges might arise today? How can you respond if things don't go as planned? These questions, asked in the stillness of morning, train your mind to be nimble and focused. Consider the difference between reacting and responding. A reaction is immediate, emotional, often impulsive. A response, on the other hand, is thoughtful. It's chosen. People who live reactively often feel like life is happening to them. But those who rise early and build the habit of morning reflection understand that life is something they shape. Think of the great leaders who navigated turbulent times. Clara Barton, founder of the American Red Cross, didn't lead relief efforts in disaster zones by accident. Her adaptability came from internal discipline, from a life structured around early rising and thoughtful planning. Even in the middle of chaos, her early morning habits gave her the mental calm to respond strategically rather than crumble under pressure. Or take Mansa Musa, the legendary emperor of Mali. He traveled across continents, encountering new cultures, economies, and political systems. His ability to adapt wasn't just instinct, it was strategy, likely cultivated during moments of private reflection before the responsibilities of leadership began each day. When you rise early, you step into that same tradition. You train yourself to make adjustments before the world forces them on you. Instead of waking up late, scrambling to meet obligations, and reacting to stress, you gain time to get ahead of the curve. And from that space, you lead, not just your day, but your entire life, with intention. The best part? This doesn't require hours. Just 10 to 15 minutes of focused, early morning reflection can transform how you approach change. Write down your goals, review what's working and what needs tweaking. Ask yourself, where can I be more flexible today? What might not go as planned, and how can I prepare for that? With time, this practice builds internal strength. You stop being thrown off by delays, you stop crumbling under pressure, you respond with grace and clarity, even when the unexpected happens, because your mindset has already rehearsed it. Adaptability doesn't mean abandoning your vision. It means adjusting your path with wisdom. It's the bamboo in the storm, flexible but unbreakable. The person who wakes early and uses that time to practice mental flexibility becomes just like that, steady, yet open to change. And in a world that moves faster than ever, where unpredictability is the new normal, this kind of adaptability becomes your greatest strength. It's the difference between feeling overwhelmed and staying composed, between surviving the day and owning it. So tomorrow morning, when the sun hasn't yet risen and the world is still, rise. Sit in the quiet. Reflect on your plan and be willing to adjust it. Not because you failed, but because you're growing. This is how you become resilient, composed, and powerful in the face of anything life throws your way. This is how you train yourself to adapt, not in panic, but in peace. And it all begins with how you spend the first hour of your day. In the quiet hours of the morning, before the world begins its rush and noise, you're given a rare gift, space. Not just physical space, but emotional space. This space allows you to reflect on your life, not just in terms of tasks and goals, but in terms of the people who surround you. And in that reflection, something powerful happens. You begin to see your relationships not as background details, but as foundational elements of a meaningful life. Most people begin their day in a hurry, reacting to emails, demands, and traffic. In this whirlwind, it's easy to overlook a friend who needs support, a partner who longs for attention, or a colleague who's quietly struggling. But when you rise early intentionally, you enter your day with a level of clarity that allows you to see these things. You are not distracted. You are present. You are aware. Morning clarity isn't just good for productivity. It's a bridge to deeper connection. In those first moments of the day, your emotions are steady, your mind is free from noise, and your energy is centered. From this grounded place, you can ask yourself important questions. Who in my life needs encouragement today? Who haven't I checked in with in a while? What thoughtful gesture could I offer to show I care? These aren't grand gestures. Sometimes it's as simple as sending a kind message, writing a note, or leaving a small token of appreciation on someone's desk or counter. Sometimes it's just remembering to say, I appreciate you, or how are you feeling lately? These small acts, born in the stillness of morning, carry profound weight because they come from intention, not obligation. When you give your relationships this kind of intentional attention, they grow stronger. You become more patient, more empathetic, and more generous because your mind isn't clouded by distractions. You're not racing against the clock. You're offering the best. Success isn't born in one grand moment. It's forged in the quiet repetition of daily effort. And no time is more powerful for this effort than the early morning. Long before the world begins its demands, while others are still wrapped in sleep, you have a sacred window of opportunity to build momentum, one action at a time. In these undisturbed hours, something remarkable happens. You move without distraction. You think with clarity. You act with purpose. There's no noise, no competition, no urgent emails or phone calls pulling you in a dozen directions. Instead, there is only you, alone with your goals, your intentions, and your potential. This is where consistent action begins. Not with motivation, not with hype, but with a quiet decision to show up again. That's the true magic of early rising. It isn't just about having more hours in the day. It's about owning the most powerful hours, the ones where your mind is fresh, your willpower is strongest, and your attention is undivided. This time becomes your proving ground, where you chip away at your goals, brick by brick, without distraction or excuse. Think of a builder laying stone each morning. One block may not seem like much, but after weeks, months, years of steady placement, an entire structure rises. That's what early morning effort looks like. Daily consistency that compounds into greatness. Some mornings you'll feel inspired. Other mornings you won't. But success does not care about how you feel. It responds to what you do, especially when no one is watching. Louisa May Alcott wrote her most iconic works during early hours, even while burdened by illness and hardship. Immanuel Kant kept a strict morning routine that allowed him to produce groundbreaking philosophical work with clockwork discipline. These weren't acts of occasional genius. They were acts of consistency, and they began at dawn. When you start your day with action, even a small one, you create momentum. You set a tone. You send a message to your subconscious. I follow through. That message grows louder with every sunrise. Over time, it becomes your identity. You no longer see yourself as someone who waits. You become someone who does. And that identity shift is powerful. It turns vague dreams into concrete steps. It transforms hope into execution. It reshapes how you show up for yourself and for the world. You don't need to move mountains each morning. You just need to move the first stone. Write one paragraph. Read one chapter. Take one walk. Make one decision. These small actions, taken repeatedly, become the rhythm of success. The quiet of morning also protects your intentions from interference. It gives you space to focus on what truly matters before the day tries to pull you off course. By acting early, you stay ahead of resistance before fatigue, stress, or chaos can hijack your will. You beat hesitation to the punch, and perhaps most importantly, early morning consistency builds trust, not with others, but with yourself. Every time you rise and follow through, you strengthen your belief that you are capable, committed, and disciplined. That belief is the cornerstone of confidence, and confidence is what carries you through the inevitable challenges ahead. Let others wait for the right time. Let others rely on inspiration or mood. You've chosen something different. You've chosen consistency, day after day, decision after decision. One of life's most powerful truths is this: Consistency builds character, and character shapes destiny. For older adults navigating a fast changing world, early mornings offer a quiet refuge to reset, reflect, and act with purpose. The first hour of your day sets the tone for everything that follows. When you rise early, before the noise, the news, and the distractions, you reclaim control. You create space to review your goals, jot down your thoughts, stretch your body, and start the day with clarity. Just 30 minutes of quiet focus each morning can improve your mindset, boost productivity, and deepen your sense of purpose. Think of it like compound interest. Small, repeated deposits of effort lead to meaningful long-term returns. Whether you're retired, semi-retired, or still building your legacy, this practice isn't about hustle. It's about honoring your time and energy. Make your morning a daily ritual of self-leadership. Brew a cup of coffee, read something uplifting, and ask yourself, what matters most today? Then take one action. That simple rhythm done consistently can transform not just your day, but your life. Because it's never too late to build momentum, and it always starts with one quiet choice at dawn.